Back in the 1990s, I was pretty much the biggest Squaresoft fanboy one could possibly imagine. I loved Final Fantasy, but I also loved all their other games too. And one of the series I truly fell in love with was the Mana series. I played Secret of Mana to death, and I even imported Seiken Densetsu 3 to play that as well, and I really enjoyed both games. So I was ecstatic in 1999 when I realized that Legend of Mana was coming to the PlayStation. But even so, this game has grown very divisive amongst Squaresoft fans, so I'm going to use this video to analyze it, tell you what I like about it, tell you what I didn't like so much about it, and explain the factor about this game that makes it totally different from any other RPG. But before I do that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your memories of Legend of Mana in the comments below. I should point out that in this video, I'm using footage from the 2021 remastered version of Legend of Mana, which came out a lot later than this game originally did for the PlayStation. So once you boot up Legend of Mana, you get to choose between a hero and a heroine. And then you actually get to choose what kind of weapon they wield, and that's certainly pretty unique. And then you actually get to choose what location in the map you start from. Well, that's unheard of. And then it soon becomes clear that Legend of Mana is a very different kind of RPG. And there's a lot of different ways other than this that's true as well. You see, this isn't actually Seiken Densetsu 4. This is a Mana series spin-off, and the whole game was designed not to really replicate the experiences that you had in Secret of Mana 2 or Seiken Densetsu 3. And that's not to say it's all bad, actually. In fact, that kind of gives it some innovation points, and there are some similarities too. And combat strikes me as one of those, because you're basically scrolling from screen to screen, defeating enemies, and this one plays a little bit more like a beat-em-up than any of the other Mana games, I would say. Combat unfolds in real time on 2D battlefields with 2D sprites, and players control one character at a time. Now, you can use a second player to control another, but you can only do this if you have them play your character or you load their save file from designated locations. And that's a pretty cool thing too. The third character is a pet or golem character, and those are basically raised and only perform based on AI. So players do move with a directional pad. You can go up and attack enemies. There are special attacks and abilities as well, because characters can equip special techniques and abilities, and up to 2 special techniques and abilities can be active at once. So you can kind of tailor these to your own playstyles. And these range from weapon-specific moves to flashy, high-damage combos. There's also a good mixture between weapon and magic attacks, because you choose from a wide array of weapons, each with their own special attack patterns and techniques, but magic is cast via instruments with effects tied to elemental types. So there's a good variety of gameplay in the combat here, and there's also positioning and combos. Positioning in this game is really important, especially when it comes to dodging attacks and getting in the right places so that you can deal the maximum amount of damage. Creating party dynamics is also here too. You can basically create a second hero and a pet or golem. And the pet or golems, like I said earlier, are support or tanking. And the second player is usually a stronger fighter that can be controlled by a second player, or a single player can swap to that character whenever they want. It's worth noting here too that I think the graphical style and approach of Legend of Mana holds up extremely well. This game came out at a time when 3D games were all the rage, but this one stuck to a classic formula, and it ended up aging way better than games like Legend of Legaia that used a fully 3D approach. These backgrounds are beautiful, the sprites are beautiful, some of the best sprite work on the PlayStation 1 if you ask me actually, and I'm not the biggest fan of pastel colors for the background, but they do kind of fit the Mana universe, and they really worked well here. And now we come to the story, which is actually kind of hard to explain. There is a base premise though, because the game is set in Fadil, which is a world created by the Mana Tree, which is a divine entity that sustains life and magic, and that is part of the entire Seiken Densetsu and Secret of Mana universe. Anyway, centuries ago that tree burned, and Fadil's lands were sealed into artifacts, scattering its history and people. So the player, you, a nameless hero, arrives in this fragmented world to restore it by placing these artifacts on a map and rebuilding Fadil piece by piece. And that's where the concept comes in. This is a non-linear player-driven game that doesn't really emphasize a cohesive story, and for that reason, a lot of Mana fans are going to have a hard time accepting it. It really prioritizes atmosphere and player freedom over this. And that can really be a downer for those that come into this game expecting an overarching narrative to kind of drive the entire game, because that is not this. So for most of the game, the player dives into kind of an episodic mode where they take on side quests and several main story arcs to find artifacts, then put them on a map and literally construct the world around you. And this was pretty customizable and was a unique idea. I just didn't fall in love with it. There isn't any fixed order to complete the events either, and many of them are optional. You don't even have to do a lot of them. But there is an overarching story that is completed at the end. It's just not the game's main focus. The focus of Legend of Mana is exploration, not a final objective. But I did really enjoy the soundtrack, and this is a great variety of songs. It was composed by Yoko Shimomura, who I think is criminally underrated. I love some of her other scores, including the Live Alive score, and this one is no different. Now, she didn't compose for Secret of Mana or Seiken Densetsu 3, but this does an admirable job. It really replicates the similar styles that we heard from those games, and there are some really interesting tunes here. I was never bored. There's a good combination of battle themes and somber tunes and emotional tunes and melodic tunes, and it was pretty infectious, and I think you'll think the same if you choose to play this one. Unfortunately, I don't think that the Legend of Mana narrative style holds up too well, especially in hindsight. And there are other downsides to the land creation system too, because where you choose to place your artifacts greatly affects quest availability, difficulty, elemental magic strength, and other factors, and the game does a really poor job of explaining this. Also, the AI for party members is extremely clunky, and you'll probably get pretty frustrated about how your characters act at times, at least the ones you're not controlling. It's true that the game offers a lot of creativity and innovation and customization, weapon crafting, golem creation, pet raising, and other things like that, but it just doesn't come together in a complete package in the same way Secret of Mana or Seiken Densetsu 3 does. It really has some problems too in terms of replayability. A lot of players will probably want to complete all the events, but a lot of players will probably want to just skip out on those and go straight to the end if they can. But the game does include a New Game Plus mode, and that's really great too. That's honestly probably something every RPG should have, and not a lot of them actually had them in this era, so that's really great too. So when it all comes down to it, Legend of Mana is a mixed bag. It's not as strong as the other Mana games by a long shot if you ask me, but there are some redeemable features. The combat is fun and intuitive, the sprites are beautiful, the landscapes look great, and not just in the remastered version, in the original version too. But those things don't overshadow the downsides, and that is the narrative. So if you're looking for another Secret of Mana, this isn't it, but it is a fun spin-off, so I think fans of the Mana series might like this one more than other RPG fans, but this is not one of the strongest Squaresoft games on the PlayStation. This one is often on sale on Steam, and that's where I'd recommend picking it up, but if you're really looking for a great game in this universe, choose Secret of Mana or Seiken Densetsu 3, which is now known as Trials of Mana. You'll have a lot more fun with those games. But even with all that said, I do want to hear from you, because I want to know if you think I'm too hard on Legend of Mana, or you think I missed something, or even if you think that I'm too high on this game, that it's not even as good as I think. Let me know in the comments below, or just tell me your favorite memory from this game. Also, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and consider becoming a Patreon patron or YouTube member, both to support my work and gain access to some awesome exclusive perks, like the ability to watch my videos before their YouTube release. And until I share my next video with you guys, have a good time with retro gaming.